flickering light. Country music spotlight shine bright, showcasing tales and legends old, with heart and stories yet to be told. Classic tunes from the days gone by, feel the spirit, let your heart fly high. Country music spotlight takes the stage, bringing voices from another age.
Hello folks, this is David and welcome to CMS In Review. From time to time, we're going to take a look back at some of our favorite country music spotlight stories. Whether you missed them the first time or just want to enjoy them again, this is your chance to revisit the people, the songs, and the moments that helped shape classic country music. As you watch, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know which story is your favorite, which artist you'd like us to feature next, or if there's a topic you'd like us to revisit in a future edition of CMS In Review. Your comments and suggestions help shape this channel, and we truly appreciate every one of you. Now let's take another look at some unforgettable moments in country music history. In the early 1970s, one country artist reached a breaking point. Nashville had the control, not him. The songs were chosen for him. The musicians were assigned. Even the sound of his records was shaped by people who never stepped on stage with him. And he had enough. He refused to keep recording under those conditions. For a time, it looked like his career might be over. Walking away from a major label in country music wasn't just risky, it was almost unheard of. But he didn't back down. Instead, he made a demand that stunned the industry. Complete creative control. No more outside interference. No more polished Nashville sound forced onto his records. At first, the system resisted. After all, this was how things were done. But he held his ground, and eventually, they gave in. That decision changed everything. With freedom in his hands, he recorded music that sounded raw, honest, and different from anything coming out of Nashville at the time. It helped spark a movement that would soon be called outlaw country, alongside names like Willie Nelson and others who refused to be controlled. The man who almost walked away didn't just save his career, he redefined it. Because sometimes the biggest risk isn't leaving the game. It's changing the rules while you're still playing it. Would you believe me if I told you this is David? Well, it is. Several people have messaged me that George Jones was nothing but a drunk. For a while, that was partly true. He was at the same time one of the most gifted singers in country music. For years, George Jones was known as one of the greatest singers country music ever produced, but also one of the most unreliable. By the late 1970s and early 1980s, Jones had become famous for missing concerts, battling alcoholism and struggling with addiction. Promoters lost money. Fans were disappointed, and many people in Nashville believed his career was finished. But something changed. After years of chaos, George Jones finally realized he was destroying the very thing he loved most, country music and the fans who stood by him. With the help of his wife, Nancy Jones, he began turning his life around in the early 1980s. He got sober. He started showing up for concerts on time, and for the first time in years, fans could count on him. What made George Jones different was that he never pretended his past didn't happen. He openly talked about his mistakes in interviews and even joked about his reputation on stage. Instead of running from it, he owned it, and the fans noticed. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, George worked harder than ever to repay the loyalty of the people who never gave up on him. He toured constantly, gave emotional performances, signed autographs for hours, and treated every show like it might be his last. By the end of his life, George Jones wasn't remembered as the man who missed concerts. He was remembered as a survivor, a legend who found redemption the hard way. And when he passed away in 2013, country music didn't just lose a singer, it lost one of the last true icons of the genre. If you were listening to country music in the 1950s, you would have known the name Tommy Collins. He wasn't just another singer trying to break through. He was one of the sharpest songwriters and most original voices of his time. Born Leonard Raymond Sipes in Oklahoma, Collins moved to California during the Dust Bowl years. That's where he found his sound. Traditional country mixed with clever writing and a style that stood out from everything else on the radio. In the mid-1950s, he scored hits like You Better Not Do That and What You Gonna Do Now. His songs were witty, memorable, and full of personality. Other artists respected him, and many believed he was on his way to becoming a major star in country music. But then something unusual happened. Just as his career was gaining momentum, Tommy Collins began to step away from it all. In the early 1960s, he experienced a deep religious turning point in his life. His priorities began to change. While Nashville and California country scenes were pushing toward fame and success, Collins was pulling in the opposite direction. Slowly, he faded from the spotlight. There was no dramatic scandal, no public fallout, no big farewell tour. He just walked away. As years passed, fans who remembered his hits started to wonder where he had gone. Newer audiences often had no idea he had ever been a significant figure in country music at all. But even though Tommy Collins disappeared from public view, his influence never really left. One of the artists who never forgot him was Merle Haggard. Haggard grew up admiring Collins and often cited him as a major influence. In fact, Collins's songwriting style helped shape Haggard's own approach to storytelling in country music. Years later, Haggard paid tribute to him with a song titled Leonard, using Collins' birth name, Leonard Sipes. In the song, Haggard reflects on Collins as a gifted songwriter whose talent deserved far more recognition than he ever received. It wasn't just a tribute, it was a reminder of a man who quietly helped shape country music from behind the scenes. Few voices in country music ever matched the smooth, lilting style of Lefty Frizzell. Born William Orville Frizzell in 1928 in Corsicana, Texas, Lefty grew up poor, the son of an oil field worker, and spent his youth bouncing between Texas and Arkansas. Music became his escape. He was inspired by Jimmy Rogers and quickly developed a unique way of bending notes that would influence George Jones, Merle Haggard, Willie Nelson, and countless others. In 1950, his career exploded when If You've Got the Money, I've Got the Time shot up the charts. Almost overnight, Lefty became a star, rivaling Hank Williams as the biggest name in country music. He followed it up with hit after hit, including Always Late with Your Kisses, I Love You 1,000 Ways, and Long Black Veil. His records didn't just sell, they rewrote the sound of country singing. But behind the success, Lefty's life was troubled. The pressures of fame hit him hard, and he turned to alcohol. His career was further damaged by poor management, legal issues, and a reputation for unreliability. By the late 1950s, the hits dried up, and Nashville began to turn its back on him. He managed a comeback in the 1960s with songs like Saginaw, Michigan, but the years of hard living had already taken their toll. Lefty's personal life was filled with heartbreak. He struggled financially, even after earning millions, and his marriage suffered under the strain of his drinking. His health steadily declined, and on July 19, 1975, at just 47 years old, Lefty Frizzell died of a massive stroke. Though his own life ended tragically, his influence never did. Merle Haggard once said that Lefty was the most influential singer of their time, and George Jones admitted he modeled his phrasing after him. Today, every time a country singer bends a note or leans into a line with soulful ease, they're echoing Lefty. The sad life of Lefty was cut short, but his music remains timeless, a reminder of how genius and tragedy can walk hand in hand. 5 major tragedies forever changed the course of country music. Each one left a deep scar, reshaping the genre's culture, sound, and even the way artists live their lives. First, the death of Hank Williams in 1953. At just 29 years old, Williams died on New Year's Day from heart failure brought on by alcohol and prescription drug abuse. His passing turned him into a legend, with his last single, I'll Never Get Out of This World Alive, ironically becoming a hit. His songwriting went on to set the gold standard for generations of country artists. Then, in 1963, tragedy struck again with the plane crash that killed Patsy Cline, Cowboy Copas, and Hawkshaw Hawkins. On March 5th, their plane went down in Tennessee, cutting short Cline's career at only 30 years old. Her remarkable voice had already begun breaking barriers, and her death left a void for women in country music while serving as a grim reminder of the dangers of constant touring. The murder of String Bean Ackerman in 1973 shocked fans and artists alike. On November 10th, String Bean and his wife Estelle were brutally killed during a robbery at their home. The crime shattered the sense of safety in the country music world, making performers more cautious about their privacy and security. In 1991, tragedy struck Reba McEntire's band. On March 16th, a plane carrying 7 of her band members and 3 others crashed near San Diego, killing everyone on board. Reba and her husband were not on the flight, but the loss was devastating. Later that year, she released the album For My Broken Heart, a heartfelt tribute that reminded the world of the personal costs carried by artists and their crews. And finally, the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting in Las Vegas in 2017. A gunman opened fire on the crowd, killing 60 people and injuring over 800. This horrific event forced country music to confront new realities about security, gun violence, and the shared grief of an entire community. These 5 tragedies remind us that country music isn't just about songs and stages. It's about people, and the ways loss has forever shaped the heart of the genre. I hope you enjoyed this first episode of CMS In Review. This is David saying, till next time, may you and yours be blessed.
In a room with a flickering light, country music spotlight shine bright, showcasing tales of legends old, with heart and story